Rated T for Teen.
Sierra Entertainment proudly presents Empire Earth 3. Experience 3 unique factions: the West, the Mideast, the Far East, and introducing the new World Domination Mode. Keep the spoils of war as you build your empire across a realistically rendered Earth. Empire Earth 3. Conquer the Earth. Visit EmpireEarth.com. Empire Earth 3. Available now for the PC.
Hear now the tale of Lothar and Johann von Gottlieb, raised to fine silks and soft leathers. In their mortal lives they craved power, glory, success, and all that accompanies such, much as other men do. They were ambitious like their father, but of him I shall speak no further, for the old baron is not yet in his grave. Darkness was in the hearts of these brothers. They listened, watched, and learned, but they understood little. Slaanesh seduced Lothar, whispering his promises of pleasure beyond pleasure. To the second son, Korn, promised nothing, but Johann demanded nothing. He had already killed and found it to his taste. How these brothers grew to despise each other! How lamentably does love oft times turn to hate! Did Johann chase Lothar seeking his blood? Or did he run from the unwholesome pleasures Lothar sought? I can't do it. I can't keep going on.
Your new play.
The thing is...
Do you have a promising career as a books on tape narrator?
The thing is, it goes on for forever. This thing is like 300 pages.
That it is.
Okay, I'm reading... Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. First podcast of 2008.
Hooray.
Hooray. And we're all back. All 4 of us. And I'm reading from the Liber Chaotica, which EA graciously sent us as part of their ongoing daily deluge of shit they send for Warhammer Online, which we're all looking forward to. I like what I've seen so far.
What's
of
this
that
for?
game.
So that we're informed reviewers when the time comes.
The Liber Chaotica.
Yeah.
It's just like some 300-page bound book of like Warhammer lore, I guess.
It's like the Silmarillion of Warhammer. Like,
yeah. And it looks expensive. It looks like it costs them a lot to make
like
this
full
this
color,
book. Full color, sort of glossy type paper. Yeah.
I have like 90 copies of Skaven Slayer for when they were sending those around.
I'd rather that trees be wasted to make like sugar packets, like single-use sugar packets and stuff like that than this book.
Right. No offense though to the book.
Plenty of offense.
Don't offend the book because
I hate this book.
It's the Liber Chaotica. It will right.
So it's 300 pages.
It will cast a curse upon you.
It's 300 pages of this with drawings interlarded throughout, and they all look like Todd McFarlane napkin sketches. Like,
and every single page could be read in that voice that I just did. Every page is some nonsense. And so it was.
You picked. Look at this. Here, read. Well, don't go the whole thing.
Okay.
Here, I'll do it.
So
we don't need to do it. Yeah, you picked the tame one. The whole thing is like, you know how I always make fun of like the Nargo planes and shit? I've got like my own set of terminology for generic role playing. Look at the first paragraph. Where a devotee of Nurgle, Slaneth, or Khorne would be interested in promoting the goals and needs of their own deity, the followers of Tzink have a wider agenda that often involves the active participation of the followers of other gods. Whether these followers know they are participating in Zink's machinations or not, dude.
You know, there's some dudes who are like fretting over that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you know? Holy shit, I never knew that.
This is the ongoing...
There's people watching and like fans who are probably like, that's not quite right.
It disturbs me. I mean, it's fun to read.
No, it's not.
Well, it's not. I find it fun to read.
Not. It's fun to have you read it to us like a bedtime story. But I mean, you're saying it's fun to just like
no, God, I don't mean it'd be fun to be at home and read.
Oh, okay,
for pleasure. Jeez, no, I didn't mean that. I mean, it's fun to make fun of. That's what I meant.
So what if you were reading the Warcraft book of lore now? Would you be making the same fun of it? Since you are steeped in Warcraft lore.
I think what disturbs me about this book is just what we said. It's like the expense it looks like went into this thing. Like, and also, here's the other thing. The game hasn't come out yet. That's the part that bothers me.
stop sending me expensive-looking free shit.
Jeff.
Well, this is
for a game.
This is universe material.
This game
Right,
has been
I know.
out forever. This is for the Games
I know.
Workshop tabletop thing.
I know.
as
I get
much as
that.
it is.
I get that this probably isn't even related to the online game. I
Jeff,
understand. Yes.
You're dodging the question.
What?
If this were a Warcraft book,
Okay, if it was a Warcraft book, I'd be into it. Shit. Oh
like
my god.
Medivh sat down to kill Jaden.
That's the whole heart of it. Because like Anthony, who works at My Cheats, we gave him a copy of this because Darren had it before he left. Got his own, and we gave it to him. And he has a full set of the unpainted lead figures in his trunk, and he when he pulls up somewhere, he can bring them out and play. And
just in case he runs into some Warhammer.
That's how it goes.
So and it's because he knows that universe and is into it. It's kind of interesting that way. He'll read the books, he said, and then likewise when he plays Dawn of War, I just got him in a Company of Heroes. When he plays Dawn of War, I just see a bunch of like shapes and colors and stuff on the screen, and to him he's like, "Oh God, it's something seer from whatever from Nargul." The Nargul
plains of Nargul.
No, it's true. I guess to each his own fantasy universe.
I mean, I've been playing Warcraft long enough that I actually started caring about it halfway through this year. Like, I was like, oh, okay, that's a kind of cool story. I wonder how that one's going to conclude, like quest lines and stuff. So I will openly admit that. I have not bought the Liber Chaotica yet.
All I'm really reacting to is that it's this deluge of stuff we keep getting on this game that's not out yet. And I get that it's coming from
They're
the
preparing you.
people who... Right.
You will not be able to play this game if you don't read that whole book.
I'm going to be sick of it before it comes out.
For a while,
Stop sending me...
they even sent the lead miniatures, and we sent those to Rory, who took them. I told that story before, what he did with them. But those things, I was telling Ryan yesterday, they're an offense to the periodic table of elements. Should not exist. They're better. They're worth more melted into a lump.
Oh, and we were getting the daily, like the handbooks, the dark elf book or whatever. I don't know.
those, man, if we saved all those.
This week, we also got a book for Gamecock. It's a new publisher.
Oh, jeez.
They are...
Okay, that was more offensive.
And this whole book, it was basically... I don't know if anyone listening knows much about Gamecock, but, I mean, what? They're a new consortium of developers or whatever, right?
It's Mike Wilson.
Mike
the guy
Wilson.
Who was, GOD.
He did Gathering of Developers in a previous lifetime.
Yes.
So this book, the only game, to my knowledge, they've released so far is look at the Terrible Fury. The Fecal Fury, if you will. And, so this book that they sent is a bunch of pictures of all the staff, everyone, down to like the toilet scrubbers and the phone answers, and they're wearing like this Gamecock they're wearing a Gamecock. It's like a Mardi Gras like cock is in a male rooster. I mean a male chicken is in a rooster hat. I'm so tired. And they're all just wearing this ugly shit, and it looks like, I don't know, it just looks like a Kmart Mardi Gras.
Well,
just
like
imagine hardbound.
And
they sent it to us, and they've released Fury. It's like, what is this?
Yeah, imagine anybody sending you a book of like their wacky Christmas party. Imagine how interested you'd be.
They're the ones that caused a bunch of big stink when they barged the Spike Video Game Awards.
Yeah, that's right.
Ken Levine's speech.
Yeah, they jumped up on stage.
And again, it's like
old
you
dirty
released
bastard live in the cut.
Yeah.
They jumped up there, they got mad, they didn't win.
Right. But I think they've since apologized, haven't they?
They have
They
apologized.
realized that was kind of a lame move.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't have apologized if people didn't take offense to it.
Yeah. It was totally who are you guys? You've released Fury.
But hey, at least they've put out this great book now. To me, this really
this book, can you?
It was eerily reminiscent of an Ion Storm move.
That's exactly what
And I think
look at what wacky, long-haired rock stars we are, aren't we hip?
I think the front of the,
sure, we haven't made a good game yet, but hey.
the front of the book, I believe it was titled Gamecock Sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
It was?
Yeah.
Probably. It's
There's all these
self-effacing.
red cock jokes in it.
Yeah.
There were. Except they weren't red.
Yeah.
You can get this at Borders.
They got us talking about it.
It's
Yeah,
true.
but I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's talk
Okay,
about
so I got
our,
EA mad at us and Gamecock mad at us. The first 10 minutes of 2008.
You're not going to get any books anymore, Jeff.
Yeah. Please send me your free books
So we can mock it open.
so we can mock you on our podcast.
So before we get into, I mean, we're getting ready for, deciding our games of the year
Yeah.
and all these other awards. You want to catch up on what happened for you over the holidays?
In 2007. We all had a good break, which is why no one got a podcast here. But we all stopped working our jobs here and took about 10 days off. That was nice. And I don't know about you boys, but I played a lot of games, and it was nice. It's nice to do them and not write about them.
What'd you play?
Well, the big one, and I blogged about it, and you guys all know, is that I'm not going to say his name on air just because he probably doesn't want it said. I don't know. But some listener of this podcast had heard me mention a couple times over the year that I had been unsuccessful in getting a Wii. He was at a Best Buy on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. He overheard a clerk at the Best Buy in San Francisco say that they had one in stock, and this guy bought the Wii for me. Not he didn't pay for it for me, but he bought it, and then he sent me an email right after he got home and saying, "Hey, I heard on the podcast that you've been complaining you couldn't get a Wii, so I bought this one, and I'll sell it to you at cost, just what I paid plus tax, nothing else. And if you don't want it or you got another one or whatever, that's cool. I'll return it. But you know, I really like the podcast. I appreciate what you guys did, so I did this for you just in case." And so, like, I wrote him back immediately and was like, "Oh, my God, thank you so much. That's amazing." You know, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a scam, it was for real or whatever. And then we arranged for it to happen. And I rode my motorcycle over there like 2 hours after I got this email, and I bought it from him, you know. And I couldn't believe it.
You nervous as you went over there?
Well, what's funny is my wife was totally nervous the whole time. She was convinced that it was some kind of scam. That first she thought like, because like a few more details came out, like as I was talking with the guy over email and the phone, we got on the phone with each other, and he was like, "Well, actually, you're going to be picking it up at my cousin's house because I'm leaving town. So here's my cousin's address." It's like, "Okay, well, should I make the check out to you?" He's like, "Well, make it out to my cousin because I owe him some money." So it started like all these things that, you know, as the facts are coming out, it's like, but he sounded so cool when I talked to him on the phone. You could hear his kids in the background, and he wasn't going to be there because he was going to like his daughter's like ice skating thing. It was so
what if
wholesome.
It was just some random dude at a playground though? Like,
well, of course, this is what my wife was saying. It was like, "Well, you hear stories like this all the time, and maybe he just heard you on the podcast, and you never know. I mean, you know, where are you going? I don't even know where this place is. Or you don't know him." You know, she's like, did
she tell you to meet in
a public place?
Area?
She did.
Yeah,
She's like, "Well, where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to his house." She's like, "Well, where's that?" So when I got to his house, I had to call her when I was outside the house to say I was there, and now I'm going in. You know, if I'm not out in 10 minutes, he can probably call the police. And I go in, and it's some totally normal-looking dude. His girlfriend's sitting there playing on her Wii, and it just total normal people. It was all on the up and up. But like, as soon as I got out of there, no, it seemed a little fishy, but it wasn't.
It seems fishy because people don't do nice things anymore.
It was actually what it was. It was somebody just being nice. I was not, being set up to be abducted. And
so what's the moral of the story?
State of the world.
Pays to be the big boss? Pays to be Jeff Green?
Well, it could have happened anyways.
All you kids who didn't get a Wii.
Yeah. If only you were me.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I just got lucky, and I really appreciate it.
We all have one now, right?
I really, so, yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be jealous of your story.
No, I just wanted to thank this guy. His first name is Albert. Albert, if you're listening, thank you.
You just said you weren't going to
very much. Well, I don't want to say his last
that
name.
Out. If they put Albert on Google, they'll know him. They'll know it's
Albert and we. An abductor. So it all worked out well. I stopped. Sean is holding it. Can't have a serious conversation with this thing. Sean found some kind of like comic book porn at the GFW office today. Do we know where this came from? Did this come from Darren's pile?
For
was it in there?
Image Comics.
What is this? Is some nasty stuff.
I don't know. Just go ahead and ignore it. Unless
hentai stuff.
Okay, so I bought the Wii. On the way home, I stopped and I picked up Super Mario Galaxy and a second controller.
Huzzah.
I went home. I played a ton of Wii Sports because you got to when you get a brand new Wii.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I got the wife and kid all playing tennis and stuff, and they were all amazed. And, "Oh, my God, I can't believe it works this way." So they had the typical kind of mainstream reaction, and then I booted up Super Mario Galaxy, and it's as fucking great as you guys said it is.
We told you. That's all we can say.
It's true.
I have 28 stars now, so I have a ways to go.
Where am I? I'm about halfway. I'm almost to the end of when I can finish the game at 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like really close to that.
Once I finished, it's like 61 or 2 or whatever it is. That
I think at 60 you can finish, yeah.
Did Sean tell you that Keith got 120 stars?
Got all of
He
them.
did, yeah.
I watched him get those last 2 stars.
about
It was
to say that-
painful.
That freaks me out.
The last one took probably 45 minutes or an hour just to do it over and over again until he perfected it. It was just one of those levels where you're just like, how could you even stand doing this?
Can he do this without like wanting to throw the controller?
No, he wanted to throw it. I was
Really?
at that point. I was like, do we need to put the little rubber cover on the Wiimote?
I want to ask all you guys that question. Do you sometimes play this game or games like this one? But let's stick with this game. Angry?
Yes,
Yes.
no question. Like, and then I have to have a like revelatory moment where I'm just like, I should stop now, or I beat it, and then I'm like, cool, I rock, and then my anger goes away immediately.
Okay.
But
I
I'm
do
like
it
that.
all the time. I used to throw controllers left and right.
Well, I get angry at a lot of games, but for some reason it's games like Mario, it's games like this that really get to me that way. I enjoy it. I love it. But if I do something wrong, I get so mad. Or if my timing is off by like half a second and, my last little blip of health is gone because I did something lame, I want to...
I'll usually blame the game.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
why did
sure.
they put that there?
Yeah.
That was so unfair. Why is that electric barrier there? Fuck you, game.
Part of it's because you have a finite number of attempts on anything. And, I mean, you can go back, even if you run out of all your lives, you can reload the level. But if you felt like you got to, the 3rd checkpoint or something, there's that threat of, it's not like you just hit F5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, you're going to just do it again. You can't brute force your way through something.
Yeah, there's actual old school tension here. But the only thing that I don't mind the old school tension, except for one thing. I don't like the total game over screen. I wish it didn't do that.
You have
make
that?
you fucking reboot the game again.
You actually got to that?
Yeah,
I don't think I've
numerous
ever
times.
seen that.
Are you
I've
serious?
never seen it, no.
You fuckers.
No, because you
get so
usually
many
have
lives
like
in that
30
game,
lives,
yeah.
and then when you turn it off, and that's what's annoying to me is that you lose them all. So it's like, why do you try to incentivize collecting one-ups when...
Like you turn it on and like they send you an envelope full of 1-ups and they're like, hey, but
Well, that's what I'm not.
70 of them.
Yeah, see, now I'm at the point in the game where I can go and collect the envelopes at the beginning where I get more. But sometimes I'm actually going into the game with just like 4 lives, and I'm going to some new galaxy I've never been to before, and I won't make it. But I hate being taken all the way out to the very start screen.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's dumb.
That's
Like,
completely...
come on, just put me back to...
There's no need for
legacy
that these
from its
days.
arcade roots. But, I mean, yeah, I've never
I
seen
guess
that
I just
screen.
I suck so much that I see that screen. Okay.
For me,
It was just
what I
the
was...
threat of losing those mushrooms never really happened.
What I was going to say on the point of the number of stars is that after I got the 60 or whatever and rescued the princess and all that, I did maybe 3 or 4 more, and I could tell that I didn't want to, diminish the overall experience for myself by getting to those points where I could get angry. I wasn't angry, but I was like, okay, I saw when I went back that maybe the objective was to do a level I'd already done, but race through it in a certain time against myself, or to collect purple coins, find all 100 in the level, get to a certain point in a time limit again, even if it's not against yourself. And it's like, hey, I like this game for the variety that it presented and all these other things, and I'm not going to. I mean, it's kind of like the DVD extras at that point for me, And I have no problem with that. I don't feel like I got ripped off. I was like, wonderful time, game of the year experience. And maybe later on when I get nostalgic for that experience and I want to, see more, I can go back to it. But I wouldn't recommend doing what Keith did. Why would you want to, a game that was so enjoyable, why would you want to end it on that note,
We wanted Luigi. You got Luigi.
Wait a minute. Wait, I've rescued Luigi once and then he went away again. Oh, you mean to play as Luigi?
You can play as Luigi after you get him.
Oh.
Is he any different?
Yeah, he's harder to control. So after you
What an
unlock
awesome
that,
reward.
Yeah, he's gonna put it down for me.
People
Did he
really
jump higher?
like that sort of thing. People.
Yeah, I think so.
People other than myself. But, they love the same ones who start Call of Duty 4 and the toughest difficulty level. Those the ones that say you're not experiencing Halo unless you do the same.
Sure,
right.
It's like, cool.
The menu
let them
screen says
play
that.
with Luigi with the broken leg and one hand behind their back. I mean,
That's how real men do it.
That's why there's options in these games. You have the option to do all this. If you enjoy it, then...
But I have to say, even at the 27 stars I'm at or whatever, I've already feel like I've gotten my money's worth because we don't have to rehash because you guys went on about it, but I do agree in retrospect with everything you guys said about this game's level design. It shames so much of the rest of gaming to see a game where every single new screen is something totally new, and where the gameplay is so varied and yet so perfect in so many ways. It blows me away. I do think that they're the closest to them on the PC is Valve for sure, in terms of just being able to do things.
Yeah, you see that connection. I mean, where
absolutely
everything comes together so well, and yeah, when you play it, you're like, why aren't all games?
Aren't all games this good?
Yeah. I agree.
There's no seams at all. It just is. It's you feel like you're in the hands of people who know exactly what they're doing. Just like, please entertain me.
I
Thank
also
you.
even appreciate the aesthetic that they've developed over the years with it.
Oh, sure.
It's so cutesy toony, but it's not straight up anime,
right?
And it's not like the versions of it that you see in everyone's forum avatars and stuff like that. And it's got its own sense of. It's just got a well-established, vibe to it, and I like it.
I was kind of really enjoying the fact that the plot. It's so unabashedly the same goddamn thing over and over again. There's something very beautiful about that, Yep, Bowser's back, and he's got Princess Peach again. Awesome.
You need 120
Here
something.
we go. That was, Sarah, my daughter, she's not as well versed in Mario lore, but she came in when I bought this game, and we played Paper Mario together, the first one on the GameCube, and she watched me play a little bit of what was it called, Mario 64 back in the day, but she was tiny, but in her recollection, in her mind, in her kid mind, she remembered that Mario had to rescue Princess Peach. So I bought Super Mario Galaxy, and I sat her down and we watched the beginning, and she was like, again? I was like, yeah, that's all this is, Sarah.
But over and over.
It's the same damn thing over and over.
It's just a Facetian.
Yep. So that's what I did over Christmas. I played a lot of WoW, and I played...
I did a lot of WoW, too.
Ryan played a lot of WoW.
I played a lot of WoW. Finally hit 70.
Fucker.
Oh, my God.
The dude lapped me.
You still haven't hit that point?
No. When did you start playing WoW, Ryan?
January of 2007.
Okay, well, that's a long time. What took you so long?
You start
Why
playing
so slow?
You started playing like 2004, dude.
I did.
Why are you so slow?
Yeah, theoretically, you should have only had 10 levels to go once Burning Crusade came
I know,
out.
it's true.
Dude, what are you now? 60?
I smell the roses. That's what
well, no, you hit 60 like a day before they raised the cap, right?
I did.
Yeah,
which was kind of depressing. I'm 68 now.
You don't do the
And
quest.
I have my epic mount.
You just go to make friends.
I do. I get on the chat.
Don't you go if someone wants to go do something that won't get you any levels, like in the guild, you'll go hang out with them and you'll do it.
I do. I'll do
I don't
stuff
do any of that.
that doesn't raise XP.
If it doesn't directly affect me, I'm not going to do it.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm selfish like that.
I also realize I do a lot of leaving games on and leaving the room. I do that a lot. That's why my Portal time is 19 hours. Not because it took me 19 hours to beat it.
What do you leave the room to do? Why do you leave it on?
Because I have a family. Jeff!
Oh.
Why not turn the game off?
Are the dishes done yet? Because I'm thinking, I'll come right back.
So how do you not get picked up as being like a farmer or something when your character's just idling around, not responding to any messages?
Well, because I'm not sitting there on a node either. I'm not sitting there mining.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there.
Someone else have a repeating gold span macro.
What did you play,
19 hours.
19 hours on Portal, yeah. How long did it take you to beat Portal?
It took me, I think, probably about 4 hours total.
Did you finally play that over the break, right?
I did,
Did you beat it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I remember your email over the break about level 15. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Or...
It was
right.
level 15, and it was one of those instances where, bitching about a problem immediately helped me solve it, so...
That's how it works.
There were a couple times, and that was one of them, where it's just kind of understanding the logic of how, the kind of propelling yourself through a portal, how that works.
Right.
And like once you kind of get that down and you're trained to kind of look at how you can connect the dots, it's all good. That was an amazing
How do you
game.
like the end?
I loved the end. That was awesome. That was one of the best game endings ever. That song.
Yeah, well, welcome to 6 months ago.
Yeah. You all told me, hey, that you need to play this game, and you were right.
Still haven't played BioShock, though.
I haven't.
Okay.
That's different.
How is that different?
Because it's a first-person shooter.
I would
So
say
it's
no,
not
it
the
isn't.
first
except-
person. It's now it's just the
Just the
shooting. You're shooting portals, man.
Yeah.
It's but the first-person thing really works with Portal, though. Like I don't see how you could have it not in first-person just because of.
Did you play Half-Life? Have
No.
we been over this? I bet you would like Half-Life. You should play that.
1 or 2?
I'm assuming I would
Well,
have to start with one.
I would say
Say
both.
both.
But Portal, like if you,
I wouldn't recommend Half-Life 1 for you. You'd never get through it.
No.
I'm just being honest. I'm not saying that as like.
Dang.
Why, do you think it's too hard for Ryan?
Isn't there a-
But no, it's a
isn't-
difficult game. A very
isn't there a
difficult
baby
game. And
mode?
if you're not,
I got through it.
yeah, try it again
See?
nowadays, and you'll see. There's
Why
some,
do you think my skills have declined? Probably.
well, it's just
is there
saying it gets hard.
It is hard.
The
Is there
latter,
no- is there
latter
no
half
baby
of the
mode?
game, it's very hard.
Is there a baby mode?
Yeah.
It's
Not-
easy, I'm sure,
yeah.
but
Okay.
the game is definitely much easier nowadays than it was back then.
Games are easier now.
Most of them are, yeah.
So
I think
Half-Life
that's a
2
good thing.
is easier than Half-Life 1?
I think so, yeah.
I eventually.
Oh, yeah,
thought,
by
I thought
far.
the
Actually, not. I don't think so. I know it is.
I actually thought the beginning of 2 was harder than it. Like it got easier for me. I just remember.
Really?
Yeah, because you like start off with they really limit your ammo and everything at the beginning, and it's just. I just remember sticking it out in my head that it just got easier. But maybe I'm insane.
That's kind of
I
like
play.
the early parts of Medium on Guitar Hero 3 are easier than the later parts of Medium. It's freaky. It's like they put you through a gauntlet of like hard fucking hateful shit, and then they go, okay, now here's we were just kidding. Medium's actually like this. Like the first 3 or 4 songs on Medium are just so hard to me. It's just some like weird. You have to pass the test, and then now we're going to make it easy on you.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero 1?
Guitar Hero
Or-
3,
Oh,
new one.
okay.
The game I wanted to play more of over the break, but
Yeah.
couldn't because of just hardware problems, was Rock Band.
Oh
It was
shit! You
really
had hardware
frustrating.
problems.
It's really frustrating. Yeah, we had the infamous strummer broken. Like you can't downstrum because it either double strums or it doesn't register. Or if you're like trying to hold on a sustain, it'll break in the middle of it. It makes it pretty much unplayable. But like if you go to the website and to report your problem, or like there's a bunch of choices, like automatic choices. It pretty quickly gets you to, you've got one of those where the downstrum's broken, just send it back. So,
Actually, there were boxes at the counter of the store when I was picking up Mario, and there are large stickers that they put on all the boxes that says, if you have any hardware defects, contact EA, not the store that you bought
wow.
this from. So
Yeah.
they were already like to the point where,
Oh,
we know
geez.
this is a box full of broken ass shit. Please don't get mad at the people that are selling it. to
Everyone I've heard who had Rock Band, especially the first run or even the second run, like had that problem.
Is
Every
it
single
mostly the
person.
guitar?
It's the guitar. It's one
heard the
one
drums
specific
too, though.
problem with the guitar. Really? Our
I
drums
heard
are
the
fine.
drums. Get
Our
changed
replacement
out.
guitar, which came really fast, by the way, and they have a really efficient system because I think they know they've royally screwed up the engineering here. The second one, the strummer's great, but the wank out where you do the you lift it vertically to
Sure.
get your overdrive or whatever. I think they call it Star Power in Guitar Hero. They call it overdrive in Rock Band. Same thing.
Okay.
That doesn't work.
Shit.
So you like lift it up and you're like, come on, do that thing.
Can you use your old Guitar Hero guitar with it?
I don't think so. There's some
No,
there's some weird big debate over the Activision letting them doing it. Yeah,
to do that. Yeah.
Well, can you use the Rock Band guitar with Guitar Hero?
I don't know.
Can you use your keyboard and mouse?
What? No.
Why can't there just be one friggin' standard guitar controller? I don't need 5 guitars laying around my
Yes,
house.
you do.
I've got 3 now. And I have a 4th on order. There's another problem with it is I wanted 4. Like I wanted a second guitar for bass for Rock Band, but
Right.
you can't buy those yet.
The real reason that I quit Guitar Hero was because starting this summer, I started teaching myself real guitar. And I've been very busy and I haven't had a lot of time to do it. But on this Christmas break, I did have the time, and I felt like there were a couple times where I sat down at the 360 with the plastic Fisher-Price guitar, and I was thinking, why am I not playing the real guitar?
I don't know. I don't really buy into that. Like, the reasons you're playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band are different than the reasons you're going to go sit down
If you
play an
play,
instrument.
I never played Guitar Hero on my own. You always play it with someone else, and that's
Yeah. That's why I like Rock Band. But you played. I saw you on a lot when I looked at Xbox Live with the break playing Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero 3, yeah. I was there a bit.
One was enough for me. I got two somewhat excited at the idea because I had so much fun with one, and then I realized, like, I already did this game.
Yeah.
Like,
2 didn't do anything for me either.
At this point on, it's just going to be these irrelevant to me tweaks and new songs.
Like, we bought 2 and played it, like, once and didn't even bother with 3. But Rock Band totally, like...
And they've already announced, like, they're
8.
already working on, like, 2 other ones or something.
Yeah. Anyway. We should take a break, actually. Before
All right, we'll take a break.
Let's just take a break.
We'll be back. Maybe.
We will.
All right, we'll be back.
Don't tease them.
We'll be back.
Rated T, Sierra Entertainment proudly presents Empire Earth 3. Charge through the ages. Command your empire. Conquer the Earth. Visit EmpireEarth.com. Empire Earth 3. Available now for the PC.
Thank your holiday stars for Geometry Wars Galaxies, exclusively on Nintendo Wii and DS systems. Immerse yourself in the addicting 2D shooter with all new multiplayer modes, including co-op and versus, new enemies, more than 60 unique levels of gameplay, the all-new battle drone, leaderboards, and more. Look for Geometry Wars Galaxies on shelves now at your local retailer.
Ugh. Okay, so we were going to talk about our Game of the Year stuff, but to wrap up on Xmas 2007, Mr. Elliott, did you play a lot of games?
I spent most of the time not playing any games, and it was kind of cool because I get to read a whole bunch. And reading is fun, kids.
It's like a game.
But I did play some games before I get to that. The reading, I've been on the Teddy Roosevelt kick. So I read the first Rise of Theodore Roosevelt biography by Edmund Morris. It was wonderful. And then I picked up Theodore Rex, which is the second volume, which covers his years, in the presidency. And then Morris's third book is not out yet. I mean, 2001 is when he published Rex. And I'm waiting for his next one. So in between there, I picked up this book that just came out called River of Doubt. And it's about the former president's Amazonian expedition down an uncharted river. And this is why this guy's cool. And if you're a gamer, you can still say...
Is this also Teddy Roosevelt?
This is also
So you're on
Teddy
a big
Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt
I'm going to move...
kick.
Yeah, after him, I'm going to move on. I'm kind of in the presidential biography thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying it. So after this, I'll probably pick up a few other ones on my wait list from other presidents, such as FDR and Truman and a few other good ones that are books that are out there. But so the guy is crazy. I mean, you have certain assumptions about him, and the Rough Riders, but most people don't even know what the Rough Riders were, that they fought in the Spanish-American War and this sort of thing. But I just wanted to give you a few little anecdotes from these books that should interest anyone in this guy. And also, the hard thing about reading this is when you look at politics today and you look at presidents in the media age and all this stuff and the way that campaigns are run and just how different everything's become in politics. This sense of like realness that you never have access to any sort of authenticity when it comes to a candidate because it's carefully managed messages, everything that we know. I don't have to reiterate it. But then you read about this guy, and when he was campaigning for his third term, this was possible because his first term he picked up as a vice president when McKinley was assassinated, which enabled him to run for a third term.
Well, wait,
but
did they have term limits way back then?
They did.
Already?
At the time, they did, yes. So at this point, he's campaigning. He had served 2 terms as a Republican president, but he was never, because when you ask Democrats or whatever who their favorite Republican president is, it's like Teddy Roosevelt, because he was never really, of course the parties both, I don't want to get too academic before I get to the fun shit, but of course the parties sort of flip-flopped actually in their direction and stuff.
Right.
And then, so his third time, he ended up campaigning as a progressivist. But the moral of the story is that during one of his stops, he comes to the podium and he's getting ready to deliver a speech. Someone in the crowd pulls out a gun and shoots him in the chest. this was someone who was convinced, a lunatic who was convinced that he was actually responsible for McKinley's assassination way back when, at the turn of the century, that made him president. So he gets shot in the chest, and then he reaches into his breast pocket and pulls out a sheaf of paper, and it's his speech. It's got a hole in it, and it's covered with blood. He holds that up, and he begins talking and says, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose," which is basically...
What a fucking badass.
At that point in time, that's like, you can't kill me, motherfucker. Yeah. And then he's like, you know what? You fucked up my speech. I'm going to have to extemporize. So he sat there and extemporized the entire speech, did the whole thing.
With the bullet.
While he was shot, and then went off to get the bullet attended to.
Holy crap.
Man, so I'm writing him in this election. Teddy Roosevelt again. I don't care that he's dead.
So, I mean, that's just like one, of a guy who did that. Another thing, at one point, earlier in his life when he was living in the Dakotas, and he was basically had sort of a sheriff role at the time, and some guys out in the middle of nowhere during a blizzard stole his boat off his property and took it down the half-frozen river. And he was like, I need to catch these guys. They stole my boat. But it's a frozen river, and I don't got a boat. How am I going to chase them? So he gets two buddies. They spend 3 days making a boat, and then so they carve a boat in a blizzard, get down the same frozen river, chase them for 100 miles, and catch him, and then turn him over to the law. So, and then again later on, after he'd been a president, the guy's in his, like I can't remember exactly how old he was, but I think it was like late 50s or 60s when he did this expedition. This is his 50s then, and he basically goes down the stretch of the Amazon where only one person had charted the headwaters, just acknowledged that they existed. And everyone's like, well, it's got to go into the Amazon. We don't know where it's going to end. So this old-ass dude, after he lost that campaign, after he'd been shot and all that stuff, I mean, traditionally through his life, this is turning into a history podcast, but should be interesting. Anyway,
we'll add some naked breasts.
Yeah. He would always just do something extreme to sort of cope with grief, cope with loss in his life. So he goes down this thing, and it's just an incredible story. Of course, they're running into tribes that no one, not even the guy Rondon, their half Brazilian, half native, South American native guy, had even had an uneasy truce with some of the people, the indigenous people near the headwaters and stuff. And even then, they would continue to kill the Brazilians, of European descent when they'd meet them. So they go down there. One guy sort of mutinies, kills someone. They leave his ass in the jungle. Some of their dogs get shot up with poison arrows and stuff. Roosevelt himself almost dies. But it's just insane reading about this. And you're like, now we have like staged landings on aircraft carriers and all this. It's just so...
Yeah.
And the things he would say, he would offend everyone and please everyone at the same time. But it's good stuff. I think I recommend these. And if you like the books I've recommended
Sounds like it could be a good game.
You should pick these up.
The Roosevelt going down the Amazon would make a good game.
He's tougher than Duke Nukem.
That's the tagline.
He is tougher.
Tougher than Teddy.
In between all the reading...
Episodic content.
I read quite a few other books, too. Actually, I ended up reading 3 books over break. But I played... it's like, for the holidays, right? We ended up just playing our equivalent of comfort games. So Warcraft for you guys and my current one, and ever still is Company Heroes. Opposing Fronts, and we just played that like crazy. We got a bunch of games together with people from some Gaming Age forums, and I'm still addicted to it. I love it to the point where it's just a foregone conclusion now that when I go to bed, I'm thinking about what I'd like to put in the expansions and all the random stuff and like harebrained shit where like, my dream is to see an Ostfront, Eastern Front expansion with the Soviets in it. And there's so much potential for random upgrades. Like they would actually weld bed springs onto the sides of their tanks, especially by the time that they got to Berlin. And they would do this so that when Germans would shoot Panzerfaust and Panzerschrecks at them, there's a chance that they would hit the coils and bounce off rather than explode on the tank.
Wow.
And they did that quite
smart.
a bit. So it's like, hey, 40 ammunition, weld some bed springs on your tank, and then you get an extra defense against Panzer. There's so many things like that you can actually put in the game. You're like, oh, that totally makes sense.
That sounds like kind of like a Mario Kart power-up.
It does.
That's something that would happen in real life.
It does. They're throwing banana peels out of the back of the tank.
The Russians were pretty damn impressive with what they would do with whatever was at hand. Mm-hmm. Like from smoking Mahorka, which was Pravda rolled up, camel shit rolled up in a newspaper, to drinking antifreeze for alcohol, to welding bed springs for armor on your tank.
I bet they're all connected in some way, too. I bet there's a logical progression from one to the next.
Right.
Those Russians. Okay, so, all right, gotta hear the web.
Okay.
Bring it back, and this is true to form. One of the most popular heroes of the web involved, Sonic the Hedgehog. We can't get rid of him. I think it's like
What is it about
Well, you
Sonic?
got to start the new year with Sonic.
we need to. Yeah.
Why does Sonic bring this out?
Let's figure out after I read this.
Okay.
Because
All right.
this might shed some new light.
All right.
Oh, good.
So this poster's name is Eternal Nothing. He frequents the G4 forums, G4 Game Trailers forums, and to confirm that this is real, I looked up his account. He's been posting things along these lines for quite some time, many times a day, a thread, and certain themes are repeated every single time without fail. And
You do your research. You don't just pick one
because
post.
you don't want to get, you don't
You don't want to
wanna-
get a fake post.
Is this
Yeah.
going to be a family unfriendly Heroes of the Web?
They always are.
They always are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why
Why are you-
ask, man?
I don't know.
It's like you're going into the.
Is that
the
your
mini
resolution?
bar.
Yeah, it was my resolution to be a little more sensitive in 2008.
It's going to have to hold out
Just
for another
kidding,
year.
it's
So,
not.
Well,
Yeah.
you can be sensitive.
Okay.
so his first post is titled "About the Game Franchises That Need to Die," Sonic Edition. And then, and then a bit of context first too. He doesn't say it, but he's talking about Super Smash Brothers Brawl that's coming out,
Okay.
and Sonic is a character in that game. So, okay, he goes. Sonic was announced last Tuesday, then 2 days later, Nintendo announced that they'd delay the game until February the 10th in America. Nintendo better use that time to get rid of Sonic. Sonic is no longer considered Mario's rival because he kissed a human girl in front of Amy fucking Rose. He had a gun-toting racist stereotype for a look-alike and is voiced by Jason Griffith, one of 4Kids god-shitting voice actors. He even ripped off Metal Gear Solid with Sonic Adventure 2. Shadow being an artificial life form built for combat like Snake, Rouge being a government agent like Snake, 3 of the bosses resembling fruity-colored Metal Gears, talks about bioweapons, military warfare, and politics ring any fucking bells. If they don't, Sonic will ruin Smash Brothers, Nintendo, Solid Snake, and Kojima just as he will to Mario in the Beijing Olympics crossover. And with that BioWare RPG, he will also bring that group and their new owners, EA, to bankruptcy. Very soon, Sega will sell to Sonic any of the better developers in hopes that their mascot will do to them what they did to his creators. When they're not doing it, they'll either rip off these more superior games in ways that would scar even the companies whose Sonic games ripped off, or take these other characters and throw them into their own games. Imagine Shadow and Halo. Imagine Sonic and Tails and Knuckles replacing Mickey and Donald and Goofy in Kingdom Hearts. And imagine Sonic having sex with Meryl or Rosemary or Eva or even Raiden for that matter. Soon, Sega and Sonic will bring back the video game crash of 1983, and nothing can stop it or restore from it. All of gaming as we know it will die forever.
Wow. This guy hates Sonic.
Sonic
he
has
just
power.
fucking hates it.
So then the same day he posts,
Oh, good.
imagine Mario and Snake watching Elise kiss Sonic. This is the thread title. Because Mario and Solid Snake from Metal Gear are also in Smash Brothers Brawl. So what's setting them off here is that Sonic is also in their company. So in this big
could happen. This
mashup in this guy's head, yeah,
This is a
this
plausible
kind of
scenario he's about to lay out.
what he's working out. So, how disgusted would these characters and possibly the rest of Smash Brothers roster be if they saw Elise kiss Sonic like during the awful next-gen Sonic's final storyline? Do you think they'd want Sonic in Brawl, even though he lost to both Shadow and Silver like a wimp, raped a human girl while saying, "Don't cry, just smile," so much he gets killed for no reason at all, and kissed by that human girl in front of Amy friggin' Rose? For me, if they did, I'd bet they'd be begging for the sweet release of death. No game character would ever want a human girl rapist voiced by awful 4Kids voice actor Jason Griffith, with too many annoying, forgettable friends, including the gun-toting racist stereotype in their games. Elise, a character from Next Gen Sonic, whom she is to this awful game as Chris was to the equally atrocious anime Sonic X, the princess of Lifeless Kingdom, Soliana, keeper of the so-called Flames of Disaster, and had the demon Iblis imprisoned in her body by her father during childhood. She, like Sonic and his god-lifeless friends and rivals, is a plot device thrown in there to advance the story. And the relationship with Sonic is also thrown together at the last minute to artificially lengthen this awful storyline as opposed to help deliver characters like any interrelationship should be. Here.
Well,
Almost done. Sonic cheated on Amy for this woman and kept it a secret from her when he gets kissed by Elise in front of Amy Rose. And they at least had Mathildes, one of the main villains of the awful game, aside from Iblis, trick Amy into getting revenge on Sonic for cheating on her for Elise, as opposed to just Silver and Jeff. I'm going to end there. There's so much more. I don't even know what it's saying.
I stopped knowing what it's saying 10 minutes ago. What the?
He's just so bummed out. Okay, he goes,
It's an understatement.
there would be a love triangle. Sonic's character would actually develop, and the storyline would be somewhat decent. But no, the best they did was to turn Sonic into a complete wimp, all the way to killing him, just as an excuse to build suspense, then have Elise be like, Chaos Emeralds, give me the strength to violently rape Sonic's corpse in hopes that they wake up and continue cheating on Amy for me, and then have her kiss Sonic.
What the fuck is with these Sonic people?
That's all you need to say.
That was like the first response to that thread.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What else can you say to that?
Because this is
Or the two responses are like, what the fuck, or you know exactly what he's talking about and will respond with something
Right.
insane.
You're so right.
Yeah.
What I do make of it, though, is that they introduced at some point in the Sonic games human characters.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
which is kind of weird because it's like if there's a human character in a Mickey Mouse movie, it's like, no, it's a land of, or Looney Tunes. It's like this is a world of talking animals.
Right. But that does happen in all those.
Yeah,
Every
there's
once
like-
in a
yeah,
while. And they don't, so Donald Duck just talks to a human.
But
and
Sonic kissed one of the girls, so this would be kind of like
I know what he's referring to.
like
the
the
end
female
of that.
Bugs Bunny making out with Elmer Fudd.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That
and,
might inspire me to write a really angry letter. You're right.
But it's not that he kissed the human alone; it's that he did it in front of another of a female animal.
Okay, wait. So if
who
Elmer
is
Fudd...
like the, kind of pegged as the romance interest in previous installments of Sonic.
Okay, so if Elmer... This is as if
know a
Elmer
little bit
Fudd
about
kissed the female Bugs Bunny in front of...
Bugs.
In front of Bugs?
Yeah.
Oh, so it'd be like spiting bugs because this...
And not only
And
that,
it's
but just
interspecies,
serious.
too,
It's
yeah.
it's just like it's improper on so many levels. Like this is the thing. This guy is coming at this with like all the rage of like the gnarliest anti-miscegenationist from like
Yeah, this is what it's making me think of. Like, leave our white women alone.
yeah, just like, and it's got him that riled up, you know.
But from the
types out
Sonic,
all there is to
he's
it.
mad at the humans, right? Not at the hedgehogs.
He's mad at the whole thing. It's
mad at
flipped him
society.
so much that he's now convinced that.
Hedgehogs should be with hedgehogs.
So basically, this is the point at which
think you're oversimplifying,
Sonic the
Jeff.
Hedgehog jumped the shark for him. But it wasn't because he made out for reasons we just explained, and he's disappointed that they didn't develop the romantic triangle and do something with it.
Okay, well, I think
that's
reality
what's got
jumped
him-
the shark for this guy.
Hey, BioWare is making an RPG involving these characters, and they can do
Think of
romantic
that.
triangles. Yeah, just think about the possibilities.
The fact that they're assuming that there's a story to tell and that there's a role to play with these characters, right? Silence, like, come on.
Because we're all going, yeah.
Yeah,
No. Like, that's trying to figure out the shape of space. Like, let's go back to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
there's probably the equivalent of the Liber Chaotica for Sonic out there.
There probably is,
And
yeah.
he's probably read it. There's a story for everything.
I don't know. I guess I'm just out of the Sonic loop. I just think of him as the dude who runs really fast.
That's the last time when my experience was with it. It was like
so much more than that.
A thing that ran and jumped and collected coins.
Right.
Rings.
But then, like now, like how did it get to this? And so, you know, for the longest time, when I first came upon people wanting to marry Sonic, I was putting it in that context, you know.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this is strange. This guy is a thing that jumps and collects coins, and you want to marry it. But now, after a year's passed, I've like come to it. I've seen that, like, okay, this is really
It goes
common.
deep. Yeah.
You know, and you've seen the pictures of people that had like sexual toys that they had put Sonic stickers on.
I guess there just must be this whole like deeper side to Sonic we don't know about.
But now, no, but this is proof, though, that now I'm like, it's not just that Sonic has crazy fans. I really believe that the people making these games are making crazy shit for crazy people. They're like, who's our audience?
Think they're feeding the...
It's crazy fruitcakes. What's going to sell? What's going to sell? Sonic, Amy Rose, Elise, they'll pay us money.
So you think the developers over in Japan like intentionally said, okay, we're going to put this controversial kissing a human girl scene in there because they knew people would react
Do you think
to it
they
like
didn't?
that? No.
How else? Yeah, how else would that end up in there?
Yeah, I guess
how else
you're right.
would that even get in there? They're like, this is what we're going to give them what they want. It's summertime. They gave them what they wanted. Huh. So the whole thing now, I kind of agree with this kid in that I don't want to see that character in Mario.
Wow.
I don't want to.
You have fully come around.
Yeah.
You've read so many heroes of the web now.
This
You
guy
are
has
one.
got a point. I don't want to see that character anywhere.
Yikes.
And
Sean
it's a
has
shame.
gone to the dark
It is
side.
a shame that BioWare's making it. Why are they doing it?
Doesn't this happen a lot? You get like a reporter sort of guy investigating a cult, and then he ends up like becoming part of the cult.
How is BioWare involved in this?
They're making
a Sonic RPG.
Okay.
There you go.
Don't defend them. How are you going to defend that?
I just wasn't aware that they were
Now you know.
involved with Sonic.
Think about
There was a Mario
Now I know.
RPG, and I loved the Mario RPG.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but they didn't have interspecies relationships, did they?
Think about how much better it would have been.
If Mario got it on with one of those little
One of the
mushroom
toads or
guys.
something.
little toads.
Why do you think Bowser's always capturing, you know?
He does
the
a butt
princess?
stomp on the goop, and he's like, "Ooh, that felt good."
So there is something a little odd between Mario and Princess Peach. That's a little kind of an oddball relationship.
All right, let's go to games of the year.
Should we talk about PC games? We have like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, we're gonna in the last minute.
Can I do? Let me do one last quick transition, unrelated. A transition from the. Here, I wrote down. I was at. This has to do with reviews again, but it has to do with movie reviews. And I don't know why I'm bringing this up. Actually, I don't even remember how I found it. But there you go. Have you guys heard of Jan Wall?
Yeah.
You know,
She's a local hat celebrity.
Right. She's a local San Francisco Bay Area movie critic. If you go to her website, I think it's just janwall.com, actually right under it, the little subhead banner to her janwall.com is your favorite movie critic. I love that. Oh, really? Are you now?
The dean of the movie
Thanks.
press.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for calling us our favorite. Anyway. So, and what she's mostly known for, more than her opinions, is the fact that every time she's on TV, she's wearing a different hat. A wacky hat that shows us how committed to her craft she is of movie reviewing. Also, she's one of those reviewers where, like...
She's so offbeat.
Yeah, she's offbeat. She's wacky, and she talks in that kind of effusive, like your aunt, sort of like, I loved it. Kite Runner is a movie you want to take your whole family to. I guarantee you'll have a great time. Just don't even think about it. Why do you even have the TV on still? Why aren't you at Kite Runner right now? Go now. So that's the kind of review she gives. Anyway, so she has her own website. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because on her website there is you can click a button that links to a TV commercial that she did for Armstrong Roofing. Right? So she's like plugging the fact that she did a TV commercial, and then if you actually watch the commercial, because you can click the link, it's for how, it's her talking about how she had these like horrible leaks after some big storm or something. So she got Armstrong Roofing, and she ends it by saying, now the only singing in the rain I do is outside. because it's not raining inside our house anymore.
Thanks for explaining
Yeah,
that.
so you got that. So you looked a little lost there.
Well,
So I just thought, like, God, could you sell out more? I mean, I just was imagining one of us like doing some TV commercial for whatever, a roofing company, and
Like
then bringing in.
bitch has nothing. Her career has nothing to do with roofing. That would be like if we did a podcast and talked about some fucking crazy hat wearing
exactly.
reviewer who did a commercial
Right.
for a fucking Armstrong roofing.
It would be that irrelevant.
that irrelevant.
Right. By the way, I recommend Armstrong Roofing. I'm just
Maybe
saying.
she honestly had a really great experience with them and just wanted to do that for free. She's that eccentric that she may have done
is
that.
this your guys' way of saying you don't want to?
What is that?
You don't want to start discussing Game of the Year.
I do.
Sean's like, we got 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
I know, and then I went to that.
Jeff wrote that down to
I wrote
bring
it
in
down.
here.
That was premeditated. You didn't just like.
No, it was premeditated.
It's not like
it was.
when you're in a public bathroom and you grab for whatever scrap of papers like happens to be on the floor to read.
I don't do that.
You're saying, you know what? We don't prepare
for yourself.
this podcast enough. I wanted to come prepared.
I know, but
today.
it's
It really bugged him.
I'm trying to convince you why there's relevance here.
Oh, you're not done?
Well, no, I guess I am done.
Oh.
Jeff, come on.
I'm hurt.
Tell me, Jeff.
No. Let's
I'll
go
let
on to
you read
games
this
of the year.
comic.
No, let's put away the dirty comic book. Okay, so we voted on our games of the year this week. I don't think we're going to say the winners, are we? We're going to be like we're going to be a little bitches and not. Yeah, we're going to be coy because we still want people to read the magazine that we do make on sale now at stores everywhere.
It's like the Academy Awards. They vote.
Right.
But, like, they keep it hidden for a while.
Right.
You know they voted.
But we did have some interesting discussions amongst ourselves, the
royal
editors, about the games of the year. And what do we want to talk about that?
It's our process.
Our process.
How do we determine the games of the year?
Let's take down the fourth wall yet again. I was like thinking going into this, I was like, if we... Oh, man.
What?
Well, like if we go and discuss, because some of the things we haven't quite worked out. We have like, well, we have a top 10 games of the year, and we vote for those, and we did vote for those. But in addition to it, we have these awards that we give, and they might be like best level design,
Special awards.
yeah, best art direction, and stuff like this. And by
Why don't we talk about that one?
discussing those without having the decision there, we can sort of offer a window into the thought process.
We can discuss. I
that
thought
leads us to whatever we decide.
right. I thought that the best art direction discussion was very interesting. We could recreate that here.
Yeah, well, there are tens. That
Sean
we
was
have
helping me
addressed.
do that without spelling it out for everyone that we were going to be recreating our discussion.
Oh, what the hell?
That's okay.
We're all about transparency here.
Well,
That's
I
right.
mean, that
Radical.
one. So 2 contenders on that. Immediately stood out to everyone, being BioShock for art direction. This is
Best art direction.
of the
Best
year.
art direction in the game in 2007. The nominees are
BioShock. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Half-Life. I mean, Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2.
Those were our top 2. Those are our top 2,
Radically different games.
and we need to decide which of the 2 is going to get it.
Right.
And I think how we walked into it is we all had like previously over email at home over the break was kind of did a write-in over email saying, I think it's this. And then we all kind of came in and there were 2 votes for
I think
one
those
and 2
were
for the
tied.
other. Yeah. So then when we started having the conversation, we all, like every one of us kind of had the, maybe the other one is right kind of realization.
I flip-flopped at least twice on that.
But, I mean,
With BioShock, it's what was touched upon in almost all the reviews, and that is just the novelty of the scenario and the settings. That, I mean, to use Ayn Rand as a point of departure, and I mean the architecture, to use the Art Deco style, and to set it in this time period. I mean, how contrary that is to the usual offering of science fiction and Cold War, and then military historical stuff. And to say not only that, but we're going to make this, big, very big budget game on it, and then deliver in the way that they did, where there's more character in. I mean, when you start that game and you first descend into Rapture, the subterranean, the underwater city, rather, which would make it submarine. You look around and you're like, oh my God, more effort has been put into this room I'm standing in than most games, creative design teams will do for the entire project.
I thought that was actually one of the best game openings ever I've ever played. That plane crash and then the descent into it was so memorable. It was so telling you were going to be playing something like you've never played before.
With the narration from Ryan kind of telling you, what you're in for when you're coming to Rapture. It was great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just, and the variety between the levels, but just the way that it's all set up. Just realizing that, say, okay, let's imagine you have this submarine city that's supposed to be a utopia for a guy who believes, for this objectivist, who believes in the ability of man's reason to triumph over all in the end, and that it will sort of correct itself, and that you don't have to worry about these other Dostoevskian aspects of humanity, where we like to tend to be irrational and murder one another when we can get away with it and all this other stuff, and say like,
or kiss hedgehogs.
Exactly.
Let's make a shooter out of that.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of hard to argue with that. And then you're like, well, when you look at it at a glance, you're like, that is kind of cooler than Team Fortress 2. But then Team Fortress 2, you have a game where the visual mark that they've put on this, I kind of, compared it to, if it's just this identity that was there, but it was invisible to everyone. No one knew what it was. It was like, okay, we're just going to make this game on the concept level, and we'll figure out what it's going to look like later. And that was the concept level. Then was Team Fortress, and then Team Fortress Classic. And then look, when they found it, it makes such perfect sense when you take these games where it's basically one team, a red team and a blue team, fighting for God knows what, for flags and to stand on control points, And how do we make this seem sensible in any way, shape, or form? And for the longest time, it's always been an interstellar blood sport is the answer. You have a bunch of angry-ass dudes who just want to, mess each other up to
all roided
entertain the cosmos.
Got the oiled muscles.
Some of them are probably prisoners.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like, so they found it. Not only, did they hit something that worked so well, they were able to take, they let them take a symmetrical map like 2 Fort and give, stamp some identity on the blue base and on the red base to make it different. And then the characters, to make characters in a shooter is also part of what their art design accomplished. So cool, and where you can, empathize, where you not empathize with them, but you feel like, okay, I'm at least getting into playing this role in some capacity, in the way I might traditionally in a fighting game would say, I play Ken or whatever, as opposed to someone who plays Blanca, And it's like, I'm playing a Pyro right now, and it's like with the way that the facial animations work for the characters, I shouldn't have picked Pyro because he's the one you can't see his face. but for the way, the heavy weapons guy, the way they, the things they say, the way that they move, and all these things, there's just so much spirit and life in that game because of it. And
yeah, to me, the art direction in that game made the game be as great as it is. That, like you said, the mechanic of this kind of gameplay has been around. They've done it before, and of course, the original look for Team Fortress 2 was much more along the lines of other kinds of games of this type. And it was so surprising when they went this way at first. Those first screens that we ever saw of the new direction was like, what? What the fuck are they doing? Why are they turning this into some weird-ass cartoon?
But then as soon as you saw it in motion, though,
it's beautiful.
I had no argument with it. As a diehard Team Fortress Classic player, and as the portion of their audience you would most expect to be reactionary, the same kind of where the Fallout community has a really hard time dealing with change with that game. Right. And so I probably fit the bill for someone who would react that way. And when you look at it, there was so much. It would be so easy for them to piss people off,
right?
And yet no one. And to such an extent that there were a few people, but they were so few, so freakishly few, that it was like they were self-evidently freaks.
Right.
But everyone else is like, wow, this is it. They found it. They found what this game is supposed to look like after all these years,
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it just so, there's something so intuitive about it. It adds to the accessibility of that game. Whereas something I feel like an Unreal or Quake or these other games, I think the look themselves might put certain people off into thinking I don't want to be part of this, or even a Battlefield. This is like more war games for boys, which Team Fortress 2 is as well. But that cartoony aspect of it makes it just adds a level of it's like lightness or warmth to it.
That cartooniness is always there in a weird way. It's more like a sarcasm with the other games where you blow someone up and the pieces flying and they say something stupid. It would only the irony of that, and then the like unstoppable would only register to the people that are already into it. Whereas I think it's like anyone can look at it and get it.
Actually, to me, it's a lot like WoW. I have to say that the idea of it's like a triumph of cartoony, less realistic graphics over quote-unquote realism, which kind of goes back to the Uncanny Valley stuff and Scott McCloud's understanding comics thing, which as you get towards more realism, you get towards less empathy.
Right.
And then just it also the heavily stylized material dates much better. Like you can go like if you turn on Jet Grind Radio or something today, it would look a hell of a lot better than Shenmue or whatever. Pick two Dreamcast games. But yeah, I mean, like Team Fortress 2 is going to look fine. You're not going to feel, I mean, years from now, in the same way that like Vanguard or EverQuest are already looking, Vanguard say is already going to start looking dated.
Yeah,
and junky. All it takes is the next upgrade. It's like you could still play Warcraft and you're like, I'm responding to the art direction here, not just the visual fidelity.
Right. And so I guess, the way we came at both those games, I mean, they're so totally different. And
it's interesting because BioShock, like for all the reasons we're saying Team Fortress 2 is so great, and it's like mostly the character design, BioShock has kind of the opposite thing going on. The characters, and I'm talking mostly like the splashers and stuff, like obviously the Big Daddies are iconic and really awesome looking, but like the normal everyday routine enemies you encounter throughout the whole game are kind of like the weakness of it, I think. In terms of the art. And the art
they
direction.
still looked, I would make fun of them like they were Dick Tracy villains when we saw the screens before the game came out, and then when you play through it, that's still the sense that you get. And all the characters, any
there's like a football player,
any life that's breathed into them is off screen through the recorders, or the only one for me that stood out as a real character. I mean, one of the few that operated as a genuine character and who was actually physically present in the game was Andrew Ryan. Maybe could make that case for a few of the other guys, but for the most part, they're kind of like Play-Doh faced monsters.
Yeah, monsters is right. I mean, obviously they have more dialogue than usual monsters, but I guess the Fort Frolic guy too kind of stood out for me as a character.
He would be one of them. Far more contentious than this, and we still have to decide on that. I think is best level design.
Yeah,
we don't have.
That's the one we still have a question mark.
Any closer to it, and for the most part, this has been going pretty well. When we're picking our games of the year, it's like we're like happy that things make the list, and we're like, I don't need to like convince you. Like I don't need to convince you guys that Company Heroes is that great. And it's like if you didn't play it and it's difficult, you can't really vote. But it's like I'm happy if me and a few other freelancers or whatever can convince you that yes, it does belong on this list, and I not like for me in that case I'd be lying if I didn't say same way for you guys in like Burning Crusade, right? I mean, if you play this game for hundreds of hours and you can't stop, you need to think about its place on your list. I mean, that's like the best, truest, most honest indicator.
Right, and that's something to think about anytime you see any compilation list like of GFW's 10 games of the year. Is it's 4 or 5 people's completely different personalities. You can't play every single game that comes out. You don't want to play every single game.
Right. Well, one thing we are going to do in the magazine this year, and maybe it'll show up online too, is that we're going to have the GFW quote unquote official